Welcome back to the Fourth and Gold NFL podcast. It is week two. Very excited. Let's get straight into the game picks. So, starting off with Bills at Jets. The spread is 6.5, and I don't like it. I think this is a scary game for the Bills. The way that King Henry was able to run all over them, I was quite impressed with the Jets offense. We're going to find out if it was just a good week for the Jets or a bad Steelers week on defense. I'm not going to bet against my man Josh Allen, but I am scared of this game. I say Bills win, but Jets cover because this Jets rushing attack is going to give the Bills massive problems, I think. Okay, Bears at Lions. One of these teams is going to be 0 and 2. It's the Lions home opener. They look like a different team without Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn. You could say it was really good Packers, though. That Packers defense is legit so far. They've proven it across the first 2 weeks at least. And for the Bears, I mean, when you looked at that first drive, you thought, here we go. We're going to see the best of Caleb Williams. But as that game went on, I said it, you trust the coaching of Kevin O'Connell and Brian Flores because they made the adjustments to get the job done. I was a bit concerned about Ben Johnson throwing screens on the side of Andrew Van Ginkel. Did you watch the film? Like you see this guy twice a year in Detroit. I don't work for any team, and even I can see that Van Ginkel is all over these screens and these sideways passes. Against my better judgment, I think I'm going to take the Bears. They gave the Lions a scare at Thanksgiving last year, and that was with less than coaching and a less than situation. Maybe they're still in a less than situation now, but there was at least some promise on that first set of drives by the Bears. It is a risk. I'm going to take it. Bears to upset the Lions. Browns at the Ravens, the biggest spread of the week at 11.5. You're playing a pissed off Ravens, I think, Cleveland, and that does not bode well. The Ravens, they just dropped the game. They blew that game. Um, when it was a lead of 15, though, Josh Allen threw a pass in which Dawson Knox tipped into Keon Coleman. It's almost like when that happens, it's not your day. Still no excuses, but I'm still very high on the Ravens. They showed plenty to say that they're going to be a dominant team, and I say they dominate this matchup. Can King Henry get to 100 total scrimmage yards against this defense? I certainly won't bet against him, but I'm not confident. Either way, I say the Ravens win this game. Cleveland might cover the spread. It just depends how pissed off the Ravens really are. This, I think, is one of the games of the early window. The Jaguars at the Bengals. I mean, the talent on offense in this matchup. My goodness me. Travis Etienne, Travis Hunter, Brian Thomas Jr. And then on the other side, you've got Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Gasicki, you know, and Burrow is Burrow. And we'll see if Trevor Lawrence can keep building on the week one performance. They're not playing the Panthers this week. It feels like this will go over. And in terms of points, I do feel like this could be a shootout. I'm going to side with the Bengals because I trust Burrow more. And the fact that, yeah, okay, the Jaguars maybe looked a bit better on defense last week. I have to see more before I can really trust them. And I say Bengals win a shootout. The next game, so West Coast team traveling to East Coast time zone. It is the Rams against the Titans. Cam Ward made some really nice throws in that game. I know the stats don't look great, but he's not working with a lot, okay? And he was under a lot of pressure. He made some nice throws in that game. They hung in there. In the end, he got blitzed out of the game on that final drive. But that was much better than I thought it would be. The Rams defensively were strong. Offensively, it's a work in progress. I think like they figured it out as that game went on. They nearly got shut out in the first half, only to score a touchdown with what was their last possession of the half, and then their first possession of the second half. So it tells you the potential of this team. I say the Rams win, and maybe the Titans will cover this game. I don't expect the Rams to absolutely dominate them. Okay, next game. Patriots at the Dolphins. This is probably the hardest game to pick because it's two bad teams. I'm sorry. It is. Like the Patriots hype, I'm not buying into it. I haven't bought into it all off season. They are a work in progress. They are not going to challenge for the division title, as some have said. But the Dolphins, I mean, it's one thing to play badly, but this team looked like they had no heart. Like there was, I don't know what's going on in Miami, but this is Miami's home opener, and it is the Patriots, and the Dolphins do love to beat the Patriots in Miami. Miami has more talent, but if they've got no heart, that's what makes it difficult. And Tua throwing picks like there's no tomorrow, and him saying after the game, it's just part of my game. One of those picks was very elementary, in my opinion. So that is a real concern if that's his mindset. I don't know which way to go with this. I'm going to go with the Dolphins because they've they should they should perform better with the talent they've got. So I'm going to hope they do this week. Giants at Cowboys. I was impressed overall with the Cowboys against the Eagles. Dak actually played pretty well, made some big time throws. CD Lamb, the irony that he would choose the game that Dak plays well in to have drops, it kind of sums up the Cowboys a little bit. The Giants defensively gave Jaden Daniels some trouble. They'll probably give the Cowboys some trouble. But if their offense is like it was last week, they have no hope. Yeah, just guard Malik Neighbors out of the game and let's see if anyone else can make a play. And Russell Wilson is Russell Wilson at this point. We know what he's good at. We know what he's not good at. So take those outside the numbers deep ball throws away. You're going to win the game. Cowboys win. I say Cowboys cover. It is 4.5. They're at home. It feels like they might give the Giants a drubbing. My 49ers at the Saints. My goodness me. How many injuries. I have lost total confidence in the Niners. Just based on injuries, we can't stay healthy. Week 1, Kittle's out with a hamstring for 4 weeks. Purdy's out with turf toe for 2 to 5 weeks. Trent Williams, questionable. This is week 1. This is week 1. Can't trust the 49ers, unfortunately, with health. They're playing the Saints. Spencer Rattler hasn't won a game yet. That's always scary because that's got to come to an end at some point, right? But Chase Young has been ruled out. That's their one big pass rusher. Mac Jones, I'm sorry, Mac Jones sucks. But Shanahan can find a way to win with these types of quarterbacks. And I hope Trent Williams plays because if Trent Williams plays, I feel like the Niners will win this game. Um, Again, McCaffrey was on the injury report last week with a calf. That's scary. So the Niners are hanging on by a thread here with their injuries. And, you know, the way they want to play, you need young guys, and it is an old roster. I'm going to pick the Niners despite having Mac Jones at quarterback. I think this has to be a McCaffrey type of game. One thing I was really high on last week, and it's something that I predicted during the offseason, the breakout of Ricky Pearsall. He is like Ayuk, but with more speed. Like he is a legit route runner, and he gave Woolen the work last week. So he'll he'll probably be the focus for the Saints in the passing game. I say 49ers win. Defensively, they played very well last week with a lot of hiccups on offense. And shout out to Michael Williams, who was like double or triple teamed on the play where Bosa forced the fumble. If you're gonna play Bosa one on one, good luck. Seahawks at Steelers. Perfect timing to talk about the Seahawks. Darnold, it's going to take time. I said it last week. This offense has gone through a big change. And I don't really like overall what they've got now versus what they had last year. But Darnold will come good, I think, in the end. The problem is he threw for, what was it, 145? And basically 95% of that went to Jackson Smith and Jigba. So Cooper Cup has to step up. He had a few plays. There was one in particular that would have been a first down that went through his hands. And you're almost looking at it saying, well, Cooper Cup would have made that play. Past it, Cooper Cup, question mark. Um, Steelers, I was so impressed with this offense. Defensively, I was shocked to see what I saw. But Jalen Ramsey made the play that they needed at the end of the game to win the game. But in terms of offense, if Arthur Smith can dial up these play action looks for Rodgers, where receivers are wide open, like wide open as they were, Rodgers is not going to miss these throws. He's not. And I'm not saying they were all layups, like I think the last touchdown throw where Rodgers threw off the back foot, the guy was open in my opinion. That was a hell of a throw. That gave me a lot of encouragement, and I hope it's not just pissed off. Aaron Rodgers played well. Like I hope that means that Rodgers can play like this every week because last year he started the year as a check down Charlie, and then he started letting it loose. But in this offense, it feels like he'll have plenty of opportunities to throw to not tight coverage, basically. Um, yeah, and if it is the case, just find a way to piss him off and get him amped up for the game because that was a great start at least. Let's see if they can follow it up. It's the Steelers home opener. It's Rodgers home opener. The Seahawks have a lot to figure out on offense. Defensively, they gave up a lot of yardage against the 49ers. Okay, they made stops in the red zone, but I don't know if that was good Seahawks or bad 49ers. So Steelers win, Steelers cover the 3-point spread. Panthers at Cardinals. I don't know what to say about this. The Panthers aren't very good. The Cardinals aren't very good. But the Panthers, they can't stop the run again, it seems, because Travis Etienne went crazy last week. I know he had one big run, but that wasn't all of it. Like they can't stop the run. The Cardinals, they can run the ball. We didn't see much of James Conner last week. Maybe we'll see more of him this week. We know Kyler Murray with his legs. If you don't contain him, you're in trouble. And I think Jonathan Gannon, he's a situational type of head coach. And, I think he's a good head coach. So I expect him to see these flaws and plan accordingly. Cardinals win. The spread is pretty crazy, though. 6.5. I don't know. That's a coin toss. I'm gonna say that it's closer than that. I think Cardinals win, but maybe the Panthers backdoor cover. Broncos at Colts. Wow. Everyone expected the Broncos to blow out the Titans. It didn't happen. The Colts absolutely destroyed the Dolphins, who were terrible, effort wise, execution wise, heart wise. So it's hard to know what you're going to get this week. I think it'll be a good game, though. I'm going to say that the Broncos play a bit better this week, and I'm just not going to be sold on Daniel Jones. I'm not going to trust him. He's going to have to do a lot to win me over. And as well as they played collectively as a team, I mean, Tua gave them some freebies there. I don't think that happens with this Broncos team. I'm going to go for the Broncos to win. 2.5. I'm going to say the Broncos cover. And what a game to, yeah, this is the game of the second window. Eagles at Chiefs. I thought the Eagles were, not at their best against the Cowboys and seemingly were pretty comfortable overall. Yeah, okay. The turnover, the forced fumble on Javonte Williams was a big moment because the Cowboys were about to take the lead there. But they can find a number of higher gears than that, I think, and that's what makes them dangerous. This is still a great team. Um, I don't think they're going to be able to get away with giving AJ Brown one target for what was it, 8 yards every week, like last week. They've got to get him and Devonta Smith involved more. Otherwise, I think there'll be problems. There's no Dallas Goedert this week, so they will be leaning on them. The Chiefs, I'm a bit concerned about the Chiefs, really. I don't think that they've done enough on offense to support Mahomes. It doesn't help that Rashee Rice is out for 6 games. Xavier Worthy, I don't think is going to play. Seemed like he was on making good progress, like remarkable progress, really, from a dislocated shoulder. I think it would be a bit crazy to throw him in now. But Travis Kelsey saying during the week that, um, sorry, I wasn't prepared. What do you mean you weren't prepared? Like, I was thinking like he's just going to take the blame for the hit because he's a good teammate. Fair enough. And if he's saying that for that reason, okay. But to say you weren't prepared, I mean, you were dancing before the game. That concerns me. And the overall offense just concerns me. It's just Mahomes having to make magic. Really, schematically they don't have it. They don't seem to have any advantages. The run game is, you know, are you going to be, game planning against Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco? Not really, I don't think. No disrespect to those guys. I think the Eagles win this, and the 1.5 spread is way too low for me, so the Eagles cover. So Sunday night football, Falcons at Vikings. What an interesting game this is. The Falcons lost a close game. I mean, that run by that catch and run by Bijan Robinson, you cannot give this guy any space. This is a superstar. Um, but the Falcons, they need more time with Penix to put this all together. And that game against the Buccaneers came way too early for them. Bit unfortunate that a divisional game like that is week one. Now the Vikings. Wow. It looked terrible for JJ McCarthy in that first half. Like you're thinking, you can't get the plays out on time. When you do snap the ball, you're processing too long because you can barely get the throws off, because the rush is getting home. And then they figured some things out in that second half, and all credit to him for not wavering. Like you can tell this guy has got strong intangibles. So it's just about getting the reps and putting it all together. He's come from a run heavy college offense, play action heavy. It's going to take time, but that was a massive, massive turnaround, and they'll take a big lift from that. I trust Kevin O'Connell and Brian Flores, so they're going to navigate JJ McCarthy's rookie mistakes and growth. And in this game, the defense, they're banged up, which worries me, but Brian Flores has my full confidence. I say Vikings win. Then we come to the Monday doubleheader. Buccaneers at Texans. That's a huge win in week one for the Buccaneers. The Texans on offense, it's like nothing has really changed. Like they changed the offensive coordinator, they've changed the offensive line, and yet they're still having the same problems protecting Stroud. Defensively, they were pretty good, against the Rams to hold them to, what was it, 17 or 14? Yeah, I mean, if you offered that before the game, they would have taken it. Unfortunately, there was the fumble on the final drive when they were marching down the field. So if they complete that, there's a completely different outlook this week. But it's almost better that they lost this game, because 3 field goals in a game is not acceptable. You're not going to win any games really like that now. It's not 2008 anymore. So they've got to figure it out. And I think that they're not going to figure out in 1 week. Baker back in Texas. There's a lot of problems that the Texans will face this week. And so I am going to go with the Buccaneers. My only concern is the Bucs are great at stopping the run, but on the back end there could be some issues. Well, the Texans have no run game really right now, so they're going to be throwing it. But I have to go with the Buccaneers. I don't feel confident enough with the Texans offense right now. So Buccaneers win. And what a game to end week two. Chargers at the Raiders. Harbaugh versus Pete Carroll. Like the 49ers Seahawks days and the college days. So I was super, super impressed with Justin Herbert in Brazil. He actually had pretty good protection, but he took over that game. Like midway through that game, it kind of looked like the Chargers of last year. Very timid. Yeah, we're going to run heavy and not make any mistakes. In the second half, they put the ball in Herbert's hands, and he did not disappoint. They basically scored on every drive. 2 or 3 long drives that ended in touchdowns, demoralized the Chiefs. When the opportunity arose in the fourth quarter to go up 2 scores, Herbert took it with a 7-minute drive. The Chiefs, to their credit, Mahomes made magic to get it back to 1 score. And then Herbert took control again. Just, we're not going to give you the opportunity to win this game. We're going to end it right here, right now. I think there's still, the Chargers are a work in progress. The Raiders, I mean, me and Paul said it last week. We picked the Raiders to win because this is a good offense, really. Geno Smith can play. When he's on, he's on. Okay, he will have his off weeks and they won't look very good at all, but he's that type of quarterback. Like it's boom or bust. Like it's not like he's when he's playing well, it's like kind of average. He can go off. So we need to see more from Genti. Bowers is, picking up from where he was last year. I think this will be a high scoring game. Like, I don't think it's going to be like a 17-14 affair. I think that there's just too many weapons that will go off. Now, of course, it is Harbaugh and Pete Carroll. They know each other very well. They probably will try and keep it close to the chest. But as I said, there's just too many weapons on both sides of the ball, I think. And I don't think the defenses, while they're coached very, very well, they're not the most talented. And one thing that, I keep picking up with the Chargers, and I don't want to hurt my man Jim Harbaugh's team, but is anyone going to pick up this route of McConkey, this crosser, when he lines up in the slot? They use that several times in a game. Like, I feel like he runs that crosser maybe 6 or 7 times in a game because Herbert certainly hits him on it a few times a game. So we'll see if that's picked up this week. But if I'm going into a game against the Chargers, I'm not getting beaten by that crosser. Beat me by something else, but we're seeing that every week. I'm not going to pick against my man Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers in this one, though. I say the Chargers win a great game. Like, I think high scoring game, but Herbert gets it done again. And yeah, they move to 2-0. But the Raiders will put up a really good fight. Week 2 best bets. I'm going to keep it simple this week. Steelers to cover the 3-point spread at home to the Seahawks. The Seahawks offense is a work in progress, and this is not the place you want to come while you are figuring it out. Steelers home opener. I can't see Rodgers underperforming in this one. I say they win, and I think it could get ugly. The Steelers have to be better on defense, and I think they will be. Then I've got Cowboys to cover the 4.5-point spread. I liked a lot of what I saw from the Cowboys. They made a few errors. CeeDee Lamb had a few big drops. I don't think that he'll repeat that this week. Sounds like he's been right on it. And the Giants, while their defense will cause trouble, I just don't believe in their offense. If you take Neighbors away, what do they have? Not a lot. And lastly, Eagles -1.5. I think the Chiefs are undermanned on offense and their defense is pretty good, but this Eagles team is loaded. And we didn't see the best of them last week, and they still won pretty comfortably. It's not going to be comfortable, but at 1.5, I think the Eagles win. And I think they will cover. And I've got a couple of honourable mentions. Jaguars, Bengals over 49.5 points. With the offensive talent on these teams and defenses who I think are still questionable, I could see this being a really high scoring game. And then the same thing with Chargers, Raiders over 46.5. I know that Jim Harbaugh and Pete Carroll know each other very well, and they are defensive experts, but there's a lot of offensive talent on these teams. And I think that game will go off.